So hopefully I have a quick one here today. Ow. My slide's out because we're set up here, and that's why I'm under here. But anyway, new rig, doesn't have all the amenities that I had installed in the old rig. So I'm going to put on an O-crap valve, I think they call it, but it's a valve that's kind of the last step before your exit cap. So bought this about a week ago, and then today I wish I'd had it already because I went to Nadia was in the shower and the gray tank got full, and I'd forgotten I hadn't hooked up a sewer at this site yet. So I went and pulled the valve, assuming it was hooked up and the cap was still on. So I thought of it quickly enough, thankfully. So I quickly closed it, set up the downstream of this, and then just kind of took the cap off and tried to catch as much as I could in here. And thankfully it was gray water anyway. But if it had been black water, that would have been nastier. But either way, if you do have a leak in one of your valves upstream, this is kind of your last chance to catch it, and it makes it so when you take your cap off, you still have a valve in the way, and so you can take your cap off, attach your hose, and then open the last valve. So it's pretty straightforward to install. This is the Camco one. It's a slip fitting, so I have some, I call it PVC cement, but it's all-purpose cement because this is actually ABS up here, and this might be ABS too, actually, now that I say that. But anyway, it's not all PVC, let's say. I believe, at least on the last rig, this was ABS, so I made sure I got all-purpose instead of just PVC cement. And yeah, it doesn't take too much to do. You just need a hacksaw to cut off. Well, first of all, I guess make sure that you have enough pipe between this prior fitting. So I have a T-up here coming from the rear and the front together, and then coming out of one discharge bit. And so this has about probably 3 inches between this slip fitting that is the end cap, I guess male side of the end cap, and the T. And this has like a 1-inch slip fitting. So there's plenty of room there to put this on. I'll probably put the handle toward the back, I think. Not up, because I don't want to get it like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's go to the back. I think I'll put the handle toward the back, maybe cocked up a little bit like that because the wheel's here. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. You just kind of cut off as close as you can to this fitting with the hacksaw, clean it up, like deburr it. I'm just gonna use a razor blade for that because I don't have a deburring tool with me. And then paint on the primer, and then paint on the cement, and do a push it on and twist, and it's good very quickly. I think it's like within minutes. It should be, call it dry, but it's not really drying. It's actually melting both sets of pipes and melting them together. I'm gonna do this right now. Cut off the old cap assembly, deburr it, attach the new one, and we'll be good to go. And this doesn't take much to cut through. This is pretty soft plastic. So a hacksaw makes pretty quick work of it. Apparently I do have a slow leak, so that's a good reason to do this. Alright, so I'll deburr inside just so stuff doesn't collect on there. Stuff being solids and whatnot, you don't want to get kind of stuck around the edges. Do the outside so it gets a nice smooth connection. Okay. And then this guy will go on just to pretend, or do a dry run. I'm going to go like this, and then a 90-degree twist. It'll be good. Primer. I believe you want to get like both. Oh jeez, I'm leaking everything all over. I think you want to get both sides of the surfaces. So I'm going to do the outside, the two that are going to mate up. So I'm going to get the outside of this side well and prime it. And we're going to get the inside of this one. I don't know if you have to shake this stuff. Not an expert. I just do this stuff in real life sometimes. I want to get both sides. I definitely do not want to touch the valve because that will melt the valve and lock it in place. But I want to get both sides of the connection so that it's well sealed all the way around. This turn. Oh, yeah, hold it because it can kind of like spread out. So I've had these pipes, or like pipes and fittings, push away from each other. So I say hold it for 30 seconds just so it can kind of, it's not dry, it's cool, I guess, or I don't know. Chemically bond is the most technical term I could think of, or scientific way to put it. But they're basically becoming one piece of plastic, is the, like, chemically what's happening. I don't think it's a heat reaction. I think it's a chemical reaction that's like melting it temporarily, and then they bond back together once the reaction ends. So you want to work kind of quickly, but make sure you're careful at the same time. And that's why you have to cut off the old fitting, is because those are one piece of plastic. You can't re-separate them. And a side effect, I guess, of doing this also is that the Camco fitting that I put on, a few things, I guess. Camco fitting I'm putting on has 4 connection points for the cap that hold the cap together, so 1 on each, well, 4. The old one only had 2 on the cap and 4 on the male side, so I guess I could just replace the cap just for that purpose. But also, this one, if there were damage to the, I'm going to call it the male side of the connector, the rig side of the cap connection, then you'd have to replace this whole thing anyway, whereas the Camco one is bolted together, so the side that's on the rig, the valve, and the forward side that connects to the cap are all 3 separate parts that are just bolted together. So you can replace and take apart and clean each of them independently. And so if you needed, if something happened to like one of these knobs while you're driving or something, you could replace just this forward part. I don't know if you could buy just the forward part, but you could replace it without having to cut it off again, provided like the valve and the back are still good. Likewise, if the valve goes bad over years of use or what have you, you can replace just the valve without having to cut it off again. So obviously those, like the valve being replaced doesn't apply to this because there is no valve, but that is a nice feature of this specific Camco one. I'm not sure that other brands do that, but it does work out nicely. So yeah, that's it. I now have a valve, I have a cap. I just opened it so that dripping is in there, but and that's that. Like, we're done. It still uses the same bayonet fittings, so I can just reconnect it to this guy, and we're good to go. Like, when I go to dump the tanks, I can just open this valve, open the other valve, and it'll flow right through and be good to go. So hope that helps somebody. I know it's a pretty straightforward procedure. So a lot of this stuff can seem daunting before you do it, and then once you do it, it's like, oh, it's actually not that bad. So hopefully it's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and otherwise, see you on the road. Thanks.